I believe we are now live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. There was a few of you waiting in the lobby. We had a few technical issues, but we have ironed those out. Look who we've got. We've got Jamie Wren for the Dublin Racing Festival preview, and we've got Mr. Ireland himself. We've got Johnny Dineen. Johnny Dineen, I can't thank you enough for coming on and giving us your time to talk about this. I've also been reliably informed by Jamie that you're guaranteeing at least 50% of the winners over the weekend. You're
Right.
aiming to get more winners than Willie Mullins, I hear. How are you doing, Johnny? You excited for it?
Yeah, look, it's a good meeting, but I think it's, to be honest, I think it's slightly overrated myself. You know what I mean? Dublin Racing Festival. I just think it's kind of a prep for Cheltenham more than there's only one Cheltenham really, isn't there? Like, I think anyway, and it's almost like a straining system for Mullins, isn't it? Like a straining meeting where he can kind of sort the wheat from the chaff, kind of stuff. And so you've seen even the cards like I'm sorry, it's 4 and 6 runners in races. Like it's not exactly it's slightly underwhelming, I think. Anyway, do you not think?
Yeah, I agree. And like, it's not like typically every year the Dublin Race Festival I look down on it because I don't. But it is all about Cheltenham. That's the reason why I set up the channel. It's Cheltenham, and it's all about that. The thing is that there is real good racing here. We have definitely got the best.
There is. Don't get me wrong. There is good racing there, but like I hear fellas like really lauding the place as if it's better than Cheltenham. It is nowhere next or near better than Cheltenham in my book, anyway. No, you know.
I feel similar with it. Like I haven't been yet, so I can't cast too much of a judgment. And I know the ticket price is cheaper, but pretty sure a pint in Dublin is more expensive than it is in Cheltenham. Plus the taxes will rip me off. But like Jamie says, I could get a bus or a tram. Anyway, we do a rant and a racing show on a Monday, so maybe we'll get you on for that one week so we can have a good moan about it. But shall we get excited about the racing we have got on offer? Because there is some good stuff. Maybe not as good a year as there has been in the past. But Jamie, just before I go into it, I know you've been busy today, mate, but you must be excited. You're there for the couple of days. Has it been the sort of renewal you expected it to be this year?
No. I agree with Johnny says there. It's the field sizes are desperate, to be honest with you. It's a Mullins benefit, really, isn't it? It's getting more and more that, I think. Like, it's very underwhelming card, Dave. Like, 24 runner and a 3 mile handout, that'll tell you all, like, to know the standard of how dominant Willie Mullins is, really. But look, sure, he was at his old tricks again this morning, wasn't he? So, look, that's Willie Mullins. You can't do anything about it.
Absolutely. Well, it's still good though, right? Because there's still plenty to get stuck into. Johnny, we'll find out from you which obviously ones you fancy as we go through some of this. I feel like me and you are fairly similar in the fact that we're not scared to get stuck into a shorty, but obviously everything has its price. Also, I'll pick your brains on this at some point as well later on, Johnny, about I think you've mentioned in the past about never backing Willie Mullins is not like basically only betting his first string, for example. But when it comes to this meeting, he's got so many different runners that maybe gets tweaked. Shall we just get stuck into the first race and go through it bit by bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Right, I'm going to pull up the screen. We've got the racing post up on there. Whether you guys can see it or not, I'm not sure. But we've obviously got previous winners in here. Goodland won the race last year. Absolute Notions was in second. That's running in a Attempts qualifier on Sunday at Musselburgh. We've had Manella Kakuna in the past, Gail de Mesnil, but you can see from the list there, we know that mostly Willie Mullins wins this. Horses go to differing distances when it comes to Cheltenham in March. This time round, we've got Predator's Gold as the 7-4 favourite. Loughlin, ridden by Patrick Mullins, is in there in second. Jatara, the mare, for Jessie Harrington, who I am desperate to see go in the mare's hurdle. I know this is over 2 miles 6, but I think she's pretty good at all trips. Then it's 11-2 bar. We've only got a small field, but how do you see this one, Johnny? Obviously, I'll come to you first. Predator's Gold, for me, I think is the right favourite. Doesn't like if it was any bigger, you'd be tempted to bet it. If it was any shorter, I'd be even further away from it. But as I said, I do quite like Jatara. I know people have backed her early. Do you think any of these can give her £7?
I do, to be honest. Look, I like. First of all, Mullins is 4 to 6 in here for starters, and look, you'd have to respect the jockey picking Predator's Gold here. I actually think he's probably the best horse in the race anyway. And now, knowing nothing, I would have said he'd have picked that. But the fact that he picks it over the likes of Loughlin, that even increases his chances of anything. You're right about the price. I wouldn't want to get much shorter at the same time. Do you know what I mean? Like 7-4 is about was 7-1 there a few weeks ago. It was, and it was nearly an absolute certainty to run in the race. And, like, I probably should have had something on it, to be honest, but I didn't anyway. But now you're faced with kind of a dilemma. Do you want it back at 7-4? Look, Lachlan is a good solid horse. He's like his bumper form tried him with Firefox, and he did win down in Limerick. He's good attitude at Lachlan. I wouldn't rule him out. Look, I thought I Will Be Bay was probably short enough insofar as it beat that my trump card, but I don't know. I think that is taking a fair rising grade here, and Dancing City's probably big price, and Stellar Story is form trading with Lachlan. That only has a chance. I think Predator's going to be. I actually don't fancy Jatara myself now, to be honest. I do think there's a big step up from Mares. Mares find it hard against geldings, generally speaking, anyway. And I just think it's an awful outfit too, Jessica Harrington. Nowadays, I don't ever back their horses anyway, to be honest. Like, they don't have many winners either. Like, her last winner was Jatara, and I'd say her last winner before that could be Jatara as well. You know what I mean? So, look, to me, that's not really a force anymore. And I'll be surprised if Jatara is anywhere near winning this anyway.
Yeah, that's fair enough. With the Jatara stuff, I know there's a few comments you've made in there. The trip, obviously, that she's stepping up to 2 mile 6 now. Some of the 2 mile or the 2.5 mile races in Ireland, like, you'll see it with Willie Mullins, but I think even from a pace perspective, the good horses or any of the horses, from a pace perspective, it doesn't really matter if they're running at 2 or 2.5. Just because they win 2.5 doesn't mean they're a stayer in my eyes, I don't think. Do you think she wants this trip?
I don't know. I'd say she definitely wants. She'll stay 2.5 miles in her head. Like, the extra 2. Like, I just think it's a big rise in grade, and she's a second season novice too. And I just think when it comes to this stage in the season, you'll find that second season novices will start getting exposed. And like, what race could she go in Cheltenham? She's Mares. She's eligible for both, isn't she? Mares novice and Mares hurdle. Mm-hmm. Like, the Mares novice is back at 2 miles. I don't know. I think she had quite a good few chances last year, and I know she's won a few races there lately and won them fairly well. But they were in her against her own sex, and I think she's taken a big rise in grade here. Like, put it this way, I'll be shocked if she won that race myself.
All right, fair enough. And Jesse did say beforehand, because I've had a small bet on her for the Mares Novice. Jesse did say beforehand that she was going to go here, then go back to Fairyhouse, where she ran a shocker last year. Jamie, how do you see this race? Obviously, Willie Mullins is to the 4. Willie Mullins has got a favourite. Should we just back Predators Gold?
He's a bit short for me now, Dave, 7-4, to be honest with you. Especially with the step up and trip. But look, he won his maiden hurdle over 2.5 miles. Then he switched to 2 miles for the Grade 1 at Christmas. I suppose, to be honest, a lot of horses were let down in that 2 mile novice because it absolutely deluge of rain, very bog ground, and Caldwell Potter ran away from him. I thought he was always a stayer, to be honest, the way he won the Land Rover, was it the Goss bumper at Punchestown at the end of the year. To me, Jatara, as Johnny says, a big step up in grade. She still gets £7 from them, but look, she's second season obviously. I don't really like Lachlan. Don't like Lachlan at all. Like, recorded an RPR like a 132, 128, like his best RPR, and then 132 in a grade 2. Now, I know it was soft ground and heavy ground, at Limerick, but to be honest with you, like, I don't know, I just don't like him. The only horse I like, actually, Dara Predators Gold, is I Will Be Bay, because of the form of my trump card. They trotted around in Fairyhouse, and he skipped away to him at the end. But the RPR is very good for first time I hit over hurdles, 139. And I think he'll just improve. And I just like he's finished an effort at my trump card. He can't beat Dr. Eggman and Navan. Yeah, maybe a small. Against Predators Gold, a small bit maybe again, with I Will Be Bay, but I'm not really confident about anything, Dave, to be honest with you.
Fair enough. Well, it's a nice looking race without it being a great one. We haven't even got any of these really that prominent in the market for Cheltenham, the big days when it comes up. So I think we should wisely move on. The second race on the card is the Spring Juvenile. This has been a phenomenal race in the previous years. Obviously, Lossiemouth got beat last year when she was, well, a questionable ride by Paul Tannen, should we say. Vauban was class in this. We've had Quilixios in the past. Going back to Sir Eric winning it. There was Mr. Adjudicate Far Class when Espoir Deland didn't finish. Well, he finished lame, didn't he? But it's a proper race, isn't it? But obviously, after seeing what Sir Gino did in Cheltenham last week, I would be massively surprised if one of these is good enough to go and win the Triumph in March. Let's pull them up, and then we'll come to you first again, Johnny, because you are the the premium guest. There's some good horses in here. Obviously, Salvatore Mundi, same connections with Donnelly. Willie Mullins, when interviewed, said he needs to do a piece of work, whether he's going to run here or not. It sounds like very much they're just going to keep his novice status for next year. So it takes like a slightly different shape to the race. But there's plenty of good ones in here. Market's led by Storm Heart, who I was pretty impressed with on debut. It's a similar story as the first race. It's Gigginstown again. I do think Hard Geese looked quite good the last day, but then I worry that she looked good doing things wrong, and that's probably not the ideal. But again, the mare's allowance maybe lures me in a little bit. I think, again, like Stormheart's probably the winner, probably in and around like the right sort of price. You wouldn't want to lay it 6-4. I don't know if I'd want to steam in, but I feel like I'm probably just reaching to find something to bet against it for no reason. So how do you see the race? Because some of Willie Mullins' novices, or these juveniles, High Wind and Bunting, for example, especially High Wind, made a pretty good impression on debut.
Yeah, look, I do think it's very hard to have a really strong opinion. You're going on horses that have just one run. Bunting, High Wind, Stormheart, Carg's even, has one run in Ireland, and I think it's hard to be to be dogmatic about which one you'd go for. Even there was great talk of Ethical Diamond they ran in Leopardstown, blew out in a swamp. So look, it was the one favourite I thought might be vulnerable now of all the favourites here on the Saturday. It wouldn't be one I could be going for anyway. Stormheart. It did win well, and it did win but it did win a weak race. I suppose you could say that it's stable. He picked the jockeys picking that horse over the likes of Carg's, High Wind, and Ethical Diamond and Bunting. So you have to respect that, but at 6-4 and whatever price it is, it's in and around that. It looks very, very short to me, and I just think this race is ripe for something funny happening, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, fair enough. Would you be having like trying to find some sort of in, or would you be happy just to sit, watch the race, and get the information after?
I think it's either a case of watch the race, get the information after. I might even lay the favourite. I'll see what fellas are saying near the time. I think you've a lot of cover, like if you're chancing laying them anyway myself.
Yeah, fair enough. And we've seen as well, like you're saying, the way that second season novices will progress at different rates. These juveniles are incredible how they come on for one run. Some are fine for their first run. And you see it again, the Mr. Far Class adjudicator thing. They ran against each other a few times in the same season and just kept flip-flopping, didn't they? Jamie, have you got a more confident fancy in here?
I don't fancy the favourite any day. I thought it was not in race. The race he won on debut anyway. I can see Cargisi all right, reversing the form of Calicante all day long. It pulled through the whole race and was still there going. It was just beating on the line. Bunting won a nothing race at Limerick. That High Wind is very interesting, but it jumped deplorably, I thought, and it won't get away with it jumping like that in a Grade 1. But I suppose the finishing kick after less was, I suppose, might latch on, and 10-1 is a big price. The horse I backed here, I couldn't believe it's priced at open 16-1. And it's Margeborough. I backed it, small bet for an interest, but it's like, would I go up there and have a bet in the race? I doubt it, I'd say, because as you say, it's a watching brief in my opinion, and you'll learn more then after that.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I think that's a good enough summary for that race. We can move swiftly on to the Irish Arkle. Just before we do that, though, ladies and gentlemen, for all of you that are watching live, I mentioned this on Running the Racing. You drop in the comments a double. So I'm going to mention this later on as well for people that join later. So like what you fancy on the Saturday and what you fancy on the Sunday. Whoever gets the biggest SP paying double, I will give you a prize. So if you put two like 6-4 pokes in, and that ends up being the highest prize, and it's like 3 or 4 points, I'll send you a tenner. If you pick a couple of bangers out, like some 25-1 winners, I will buy you a ticket for Cheltenham. It will be significant based on the SP. So like I say, drop it in the comments. Your best bet for Saturday, best bet for Sunday, and a double. We'll do that. But back to the racing and our opinions, because that's what you're here for, right? You want to hear what we fancy. This race, Johnny, has turned on its head 3 or 4 times this season. At the beginning of the season, we all thought Marine Nationale, Facile Vega will clash here before they go to Cheltenham. Then it looked like Barry Connell was going to be dodging Facile Vega as much as he could through the season. Facile flops at Christmas. We thought, is he going to go up to 2.5 miles? I mean, I don't know why people really thought that, but anywho. And now we haven't got Gaelic Warrior in here. We've got the original race that we were expecting. Now, the reason why I mentioned about Facile Vega stepping up in trip is we had the same thing last season with Appreciate It, right? But Appreciate It looked more like a stayer. Even as a novice, I thought he was going to be an Albert Bartlett horse. But Willie Mullins tests them at 2 miles, I think. He says, ultimately, until they're beaten at 2 miles, why would he step them up? But his run was so bad at Christmas that it was too bad to be true. So it does mean we've got a better spectacle as far as I'm concerned. The market, as it's priced at the moment, I think I'll just put it up on the screen, but I think it was about 4-9 Marine Nationale and about 5-1 Facile Vega. Johnny, I'm going to pitch this to you in this particular way, right? There are 6 runners in this race. Facile Vega is a 5-1 poke. If this race was run 6 times, do you think Facile Vega would win it more than once?
Yeah, it's a treat. Like of the other 4, you couldn't see Sharjah, Sinisi as a zillion. Elete Thomas, you'd imagine, isn't up to this level, and I still wouldn't be rating Founder 50 as being a real top horse. So I say, look, he's probably the only danger to Marine Nationale when all is said and done. Like, I think you'd probably have to fancy the favourite. To be honest, I'm not going to back him, but would he win 1 out of 6? I suppose you could say, would Marine Nationale fluff his lines 1 in 6? That's what you'd be probably betting on, really. Look, I wasn't going to have any bet the race, to be honest. And like Facile Vega, I wouldn't fall down if you won. I mean, you wouldn't fall down if you ran second, and you wouldn't be shocked if you ran terrible too. He is starting to turn into a kind of a strange kind of a horse, isn't he? Like, you know what I mean? Look, would I back if the favourite didn't run? Would you back Facile Vega? I'm not sure that you would. But I think that he's probably the only conceivable danger to the favourite at the same time. Even though I do think the favourite will probably win. I think the favourite, I would have fancied him to beat Gaelic Warrior too, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we're in similar thought processes, apart from the fact that I think I will take a swing on Facile Vega. That's not me saying that of the 2 of them, like, I would expect the Facile Vega would win it over and over. But the price that Marine Nationale is sort of 2s on, let's just say, for conversation's sake. If this race was run 6 times, I think Marine Nationale wins it 4 times, Facile Vega wins it twice. And it just, for me on the prices, I think Facile Vega at 5s will shorten up a little bit. Marine might drift out, but Marine is the rightful favourite. Facile's flopped so many times at Leopardstown or run below par as well, hasn't he? I wondered whether they were going to skip the meeting altogether, go straight to Cheltenham, but I'm glad they're doing it here. Obviously, prior to his faltering at Christmas and Marine Nationale's debut, they were 5-2 joint favourites. Jamie, me and you have had, well, many a discussion about Facile Vega, Marine Nationale up to now, but I remember you WhatsApped me as soon as Facile Vega got turned over and said, if I ever tell you that Facile Vega beats Marine Nationale again, you will never speak to me again. So this might be the last podcast we ever do together. What do you see in this race? Like, is Marine Nationale just a good thing, but probably too short to bet?
Too short to bet. I want a Gaelic Warrior in here because I think Gaelic Warrior would have beaten Marine Nationale, but sure, there you go. Facile Vega, I think the rain gods have gone against Facile Vega now. The ground gone off, it's yielding to soft at the moment. I think Facile Vega's only chance of ever beating Marine Nationale if it's heavy in the description. Every time he's won at Leopardstown, it has been heavy in the description. You saw on good ground at Christmas, found 50, he was found out again on better ground. He was found out in the 2 mile novice last year on better ground. So, look, just a penalty kick from Marine Nationale. But as both of you are saying, it wouldn't shock me if Facile Vega beat him. Just one of those, but the favourite would win.
Oh, nice. I mean, I do like it, and I do understand, I do get it, but like, I do believe that Facile Vega, that last race, they ran so slow. As long as there's a bit of pace in there, which obviously William Mullins is going to ensure, I think we'll see a much closer match than the market suggests. But that's only my opinion in the race. And we don't just want one, we want Johnny's motive, don't we? Johnny, we've got a handicap hurdle we're coming into now. 3 miles, half a furlong. I don't have the previous historical trends of who won this race, but I mean, sometimes it does matter, but this time round, I don't think it does. I'm just going to peel up the betting now because there's a few flip-flops that have happened even just today. So when it does finally come up, Canal End was nibbled in the anti-post market. That was an eye catcher over 2 miles. Then at 3 miles at Christmas, or I think it was, December in Navan or Nace maybe, bumped into a Willie Mullins horse that Paul Townend was riding that was a pretty ready winner. Fine margin was entered up at Sandown, I think only off of a £3 higher mark. I'm shocked why it comes here and not there. Maybe that's a vote of confidence. but then Brian Hayes is on board. So if it was a vote of confidence, I'd rather see Paul Townend on board. Maybe I'm being a snob, but we are where we are. There is one I like a little bit further down, but I'm not going to say anything about it in case one of you two gives it a positive mention. So it's a big prize money handicap, Johnny. I would imagine a few have targeted this. The market seems to have a reasonable handle on it, I think, at first glance. Have you had a chance to get stuck into this one, and have you found the winner?
Look, it's a big feed, 24 runners. The front two in the market, what Canal End and Fine Margin, they're the front two, aren't they? More or less.
Yeah.
I'd say Canal End is a decent horse myself now. Like I'd say 1, 2, even though he didn't run great in Navan, but it was a big step up to say 25 furlongs in a track like that. It was a big ask. No, he was well backed and he was well fancied, and he ran kind of a strange race because I suppose they had to simply get the trip, but he seemed to get the trip fine. You know what I mean? But at one stage in the race, for some reason he didn't. He's kind of wasn't going to half off the bridle for earlier than you just said, because he looked a horse with a bit of class, and I have a feeling he's a good horse, Canal End. Now, Fine Margin, that was a good run in Haydock, Slade Lane, and the third horse was Crambo, wasn't it, in that race? Like that's good form too in this kind of race. There's plenty of probably dead wood in this kind of a contest. Like I suppose you'd have to respect Panda Boy. He's got a chase rating of what 146, but he's probably been like tipped up for Cheltenham, or tipping away there in races for Cheltenham and maybe Irish National or something like that. Whatever he's going to go back for again, but I do think Canal End has a lot in hand off 125, and I'd be going with him, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. It is a big field handicap, as you touched on, and it is a big meeting. So I believe that Sky Bet are going 7 places each way if you want £1.25 on. And there's plenty of bookies that are going 6 places each way, a fifth of the odds, which is filthy when you think about it, really, because in the place markets on the machine, for example, these horses would be trading a lot shorter than their relative placey terms on there. So Canal End sounds like a relatively strong fancy from Johnny in there. Jamie, have you got stuck into this one yet? Have you got the winner?
I'm with Johnny here as well, yeah, Canal End. The one thing I don't like about Fine Margin, he's never won a race. I know it was second off 124 over in Haydock behind Slate Lane, and obviously Crambo went on to win the Grey One to beat Paisley Park, sorry. Up £3. Look, is he maybe exaggerated his position because Crambo should have won that race? The jockey just got it wrong. Not going to crib the jockey. I like Canal End here, yeah. I take the extra furlong on heavy ground for his first handicap over 3 miles 1. He's just given him a bit of experience. He travelled well into the race. I backed him that day, and I thought he was a good thing, and he just pettered out with the extra furlong and a bit up the Navan Hill on heavy ground. Somerville Boy was second in that race, second to Monkfish. Ailey Rose in this race, one went over to Ayr on an egg and spoon race. The form is okay, but he looks like way better than he's marked in 125, Dave. And I'll be going him. The only other horse I kind of fancied, the ground kept drying out and stabbing at the dark. It's the Paul Nolan horse, is Joya Mashan. I think he needs 3 miles on good ground. He's tried chasing. No, he's back here. Maybe it's just an afterthought, but he's 20-1. But yeah, I'd be with Johnny here. I think Canal End is a good thing.
I like it. Right, so I get to pipe up now. So it's a 0 to 150, ladies and gentlemen. 137's the highest rated horse. This feels like a very familiar feeling because on this side of the water, we never get the top end of them. You get 0 to 50s with 1 to 20, well, a 120 horse in there. I think this has a little bit of a different makeup than previous years. I do like Canal End, right? I think that's definitely got his chance. Sent off 5 to 2 in that race, went near Navan. The one that was sent off just behind him at 11 to 4, ridden by Jack Kennedy, was Will Do, who was in front of the horse up until they jumped the last. As soon as Canal End went by him, Jack Kennedy just stopped basically riding him, eased him off into the finish. So as much as there was a big gulf between those two in terms of distance at the finish line, Jack knew that his horse was beaten. I think he went fairly easy. I also feel a little bit, right? I do read into stuff that's definitely not there. But Willie Mullins and Paul Townend's horse that did win the race, that canted clear. And I think there was a little part of maybe Jack looking at the horse in front thinking, we ain't getting anywhere near that one. Like, today's not my day. And I think the ground would have been plenty soft for him as well. So the fact that he was up there against a good horse like Canal End, the fact that this is a tiny little bit shorter, the fact that the ground will be that little bit easier, I think that the difference in price now, Will Do being 14 to 1, he was 16s a little bit earlier, is a catastrophic rick by the bookies. He should be much shorter. I think Will Do's got a proper chance. And again, I'm saying the extended places, there's 6 places up for grabs or 7 with a certain bookmaker. I don't see how this horse after that last run is out the frame in terms of those 6 places. And I think he's got a proper winning chance. I think he will come there cantering, leading. He's the type of horse I'll be looking at as well to have a, I'll bet him each way, but I'll have a few quid on the machine to bet him and then hope in running he'll trade a bit shorter and I can probably lay him as well. Any rebuttal to Will Do? Because I feel like, Johnny, you hate it. I feel like there was an exhalation there.
No, to be honest, the day he ran in Navan, I actually backed the 2 of them at 4 to 1. And I wouldn't normally do that in a race. I normally don't even bet in them races, but I thought those 2 horses were miles better than their ratings. You know what I'm saying? And I said 6 to 4, and I was even saying after the race, Jesus Christ, I know why I don't bet in them stupid races, because I backed 2 horses, none of them even, you know what I mean? None of them mapped, and I thought like one of them had to win that race. So I wouldn't dismiss Will Do. I thought going into the last day that Will Do had the makings of a smart horse. I don't know what happened to him in Navan, because he didn't finish his race for some reason, and he's been missing. What he's supposed. He's been missing since. Look, if he was like, as you're right about the price, he is probably overpriced. I wouldn't fall down if he ran really well. Like, as I said, I backed him the last day. I backed both of them, and I was just shocked that none of them, like, I know Canal End was tough, but he never really threatened to win the race either. And Will Do fizzled out of it a lot tamer than I. Maybe he had a small issue that day. I couldn't tell you, but no, I wouldn't dismiss anyone that the fancy Will Do. It is a dangerous horse, right?
Nice. I should be a bookies affiliate, shouldn't I? Because I feel like I've made you throw a few quid at Will Do at some point. But they wouldn't be paying me anything because you're gonna thieve some cash there because he's gonna get shortened up. I think. I like the fact that Jack stayed on as well, but yeah, Canal End would be the main danger. I think, like, is the obvious one. I will be probably the same as what you did in Nav and Johnny. I will play the pair. I'll have a bit of a dart on Canal End as well. Like I say, 6 to 1, quarter the odds, 6 places up for grabs. I think you'd be mad not to get stuck into a few of them. Right, we've got the Irish Gold Cup after this. This is. I mean, I saw on Twitter earlier there was a bit of moaning about this one, saying about the standard of it, and we talk about the British horses not having depth for races and Grade 1s. And obviously, we've got the Gold Cup first and second in the betting with Galopin Des Champs versus Fast or Slow. Conflated's in there that won it 2 years previous. I mean, it doesn't look the greatest and deepest race on paper because you've got 4 runners. But I mean, who else would you want here other than maybe a Jerry Colomb, or who was the lad that won the Charlie Hall? Gentleman's game. But then,
yeah.
but then in reality, especially after what Galopin did at Christmas, Johnny, is there any point in anything else possibly coming in this race? It's purely, I mean, it's a prep run for Galopin Des Champs to go towards the Gold Cup, but it's a prep run for Fast or Slow as well. There's just, I don't think, any horses that you would pick and choose. Like I say, other than maybe a Jerry Colomb, but why would he come here and get him again? Surely Galopin just wins, didn't he? But is he like stupidly short? Is there a way in to bet this race?
Look, I think if he runs the way he ran at Christmas, there'll be no horse beat him. You know what I mean? It's just that sometimes those kind of, even though he won easy and he won 23 lengths, those kind of monumental wins, they do take more out of horses than people realise. I think sometimes they do anyway. Look, I think that's all you're hanging on here. That's a okay, Fast or Slow has came out on top of him the last 2 times, but like on what he did in at Christmas in Leopardstown, it's very hard to see and be. No, I wouldn't have betted him. No, I mean, it's obviously, I mean, the other 2 can't win, so it's like you're 4 to 9, 9 to 4, whatever, 5 to 2, whatever. One of the 2 of them will definitely win, but Fast or Slow has to. Like, I know he beat him. He's beaten Galopin Des Champs, but he didn't beat him in a race where he ran like he did at Christmas, Galopin Des Champs at the same time. He beat him after a long season in Punchestown, and he beat him at the start of the season in Punchestown as well, in the John Durkin 2.5 miles. The Fast or Slow is a good horse, all right, and he will give him some shot of a race, but it's very difficult to see the favourite being beat. No, like it's a horse I've hardly ever backed Galopin Des Champs, so I ain't going to start Saturday, but I do expect him to win without wanting to have any bet in the race at the same time.
Yeah, fair enough. And I think it goes back to that last one at Christmas. I cannot believe that he went off 6-4. I know Jerry Colon was in the race, especially after Fast or Slow came out. It's like, I know it's very much like an aftertime when all going back on stuff, but given the sort of horse that he is, it was like people had written him off and he was gone. But as you say, lots of horses can win wide margin and it takes a lot more out of them than people think. I will just say though, 4-9 it was Marine National Galopin Des Champs. So even with the bookies, you can get 11-10, the muggy double on the turf. And would that be tempted for a couple of beer tokens, Johnny, or not?
Look, I wouldn't back it, but like I wouldn't like the fella to stick me in a lump that he wanted to back it with me either at the same time. You know, I think 4-9, 11-10. I'd hate to be laying it for my life either now. You know, that kind of way. And I know it sounds like a muggy bet, and it possibly is. And like maybe, like put it this way, would I back it or lay it? I'd rather nearly back it than lay it. To be honest, I wouldn't like to lay it anyway.
No, definitely. And there's not much in it, but sometimes, I mean, I think Galopin Des Champs will shorten up, but sometimes the bookies do lure us in. So as soon as those points start moving out a little bit, like if they go 1-2 and 1-2, all of a sudden it jumps up to 5-4, like it can start to incrementally rise. Just wanted to mention that. Jamie, have you got any bet in the race? Because obviously Galopin Des Champs just wins.
No, Dave. No, Galopin Des Champs, man. I can't exactly. I just Johnny said exactly, but I think he beat him. John Durkin, where he jumped deplorably and still only finished 2 lengths behind him, and he beat him a punches down at the end of a hard season. The Galopin Des Champs that turned up at Christmas is, to me, is unbeatable. So unless he is a complete off day, and I don't know, stranger things happen, you know yourself. But nah, he'll win.
Fair enough. He's a good thing, isn't he? On a podcast I did earlier, I was the colleague that I was on there with suggested, because Fast or Slow's being readied for Cheltenham, he said it wouldn't be the strangest thing to think maybe betting Galopin Des Champs with Conflated and maybe a smaller one on Galopin Des Champs to be Iron Maximus for forecast if you want an intro. But you don't have to bet in every single race, do you? There is a race that we do have to bet in. Obviously, gamble responsibly, but we have the 2 mile, 1 furlong handicap chase. This 100% Johnny Dineen will be in agreement with us, but Jamie, finally, I'm going to let you lead in on a particular race, because I don't think this one will take very long at all for us to talk through. Jamie Wren, who wins the 210 on Saturday at the Dublin Racing Festival and pays for the whole weekend?
Pat Theroux. 5-1 is massive. I think he'll go off shorter. He should have won the race against the Folks Tiara at Christmas. He was coming to win the race. Keith Donoghue gave him a good ride. It was good ground. I was actually shocked he ran well, because normally most of his forms on soft, heavy ground. He's on conditions novice hurdle in Nevin in complete bog ground. Had a lovely, I suppose, confidence booster behind, trotted around behind Hunter's Yarn, and Hunter's Yarn, he took the second last with him at Ferry House. So they were hoping, obviously, he didn't win that race. And I can't see now. He doesn't win a lot, but you see Gavin Cromwell come out during the week in an interview. He's my best chance of the whole meeting. Look, it's a handicap. Anything can happen, but this is me, the handicap good thing of the whole weekend. It's Pat Theroux. I can't see nothing beating it now. Nice. It's another favourite, I know. It's another favourite, I know, but look.
No, but it's not. It's reasonable enough.
Come on.
But what I will say, Jamie, just before I move to you, Johnny, Jamie, Keith Donoghue is on final orders, not on Path Through.
Yeah, no, he was on at Christmas. And
does that temper any enthusiasm at all, though?
No, Sean Fleming is a decent enough jockey. He's known Meads jockey for years, so no, wouldn't take any notice.
Gavin's trying to get us a price, and that's what he's doing. Johnny, I don't need to say it, but I'm in agreement with Jamie on this one. I think a few people would have seen Path Through falling at Christmas and then had a bit of an eye on him for a future race. Like Jamie says, he could be one of those that doesn't necessarily win all the time, but he is, especially at the 5-1. He's a general 7-2 poke. You get 5th of the odds first 4 with most bookmakers. I think there's only 13 runners in this race as well, so fairly generous terms in the bookies, especially at 5-1. If he stands up, does Path Through win, or are we being idiots and we're about to do our nuts on a race?
No, I fancy Path Through myself. I was disappointed. I didn't see all the prices, but I saw 7-2 and I said, that's not a great price. You know what I mean? But if he's 5-1, he's more than fair.
Yeah.
You know? Is he 5-1, Jimmy? He is.
He's
That's it,
fight, come on, yeah, with Coral, I think, is it, David?
Yeah, Coral and Ladbrokes are 5-1. He's 7-2 with the other firms, and then 4-1 elsewhere. I did say this to another friend earlier on. I was saying it to Daryl, Jamie, that I think the jockey bookings is going to make people start to question a little bit, and that money might drive for Path 3. So I think we will get like general 5-1. You'll probably get bigger on the machine. We might get 6-1 about him. But sorry, back to you, Johnny.
Yeah, no, I just thought 7-2. When I saw 7-2 for 7%. That's just a fraction tight. I thought it might be bigger, but if it is bigger, it's like, because you look down through these, there's only 13 runners on here for starters. Like Embittered looks to be his 10 years of age. Solness, actually, that won well in Fairy House. I know it's got up £9, but then it had a young fella claim, and it has no claim this time, so it's really got up 14. The reason Flanagan is riding Part Two is Keaton, who couldn't do 11 stone 1.
Okay.
I
thought it was actually looking at that. Sorry, John, if cutting across you. I thought it was because he always rides final orders. When I just saw the list there.
No, he couldn't do 11 stone 1 if he took off his leg. I'd say it's a long time. It's a long time since he's done 11 stone. I wouldn't imagine he haven't done 11 stone 1 in years. Okay. If you check his lowest ride, no, I don't know how you check those things. I'd say if you check his lowest riding weight now, it's probably more than 11-1. And that's the only reason that he's not riding. So like if fellas are looking at that, and I'd say the reason that Brian Hayes is riding that horse earlier on is because they don't want Town getting killed in a fucking big handicap hurdle. Do you know what I mean? And being ruled out for, and like just somebody falls in one of those 24-runner races, and he's out for 6 months. So he won't be riding anything like that unless it's Cheltenham maybe, but not in this place. So I wouldn't read too much into that either. But the reason your man isn't riding this horse anyway is definitely because he can't do the weight.
Yeah, awesome. So we're all in agreement with Path Through. So like Jamie reckons it's his handicap. Well, I say reckons it's Jamie's handicap good thing of the weekend. I've there's a few that I do like in some other races, but I think this horse is a good thing. I made it anywhere sort of 5-2, 7-2 was the bottom end of where you'd want to get, like you were saying, about being tight. Would this rate as one of the stronger fancies of the weekend, Johnny?
Yeah, like to be honest with you, I normally would kind of be shying away from the handicaps, but at this meeting, a lot of the ones in the conditions races are going to be too short to back, particularly Sunday, and like these races, that looks appealing to me at like so does Canal Lane. The two of them look goodish prices anyway. I'd say both 4 or 5 to 1, or 5 to 1 and 4 to 1, that kind of way. Like I'm not going to back Pat Roux each way though. I'm going to back him to win. I'm just not going to back him each way. She said just the fact is, look, I know each way is probably, but I'm not too pushed about getting my money back. I want him to win, and if I do lose me a few quid, I'm not too pushed at the same time. There'll be plenty of other chances to get your money. But the second last fence is always tricky here, and you make a mistake and hit that a wrap anyway, you finish up nowhere, no matter how well you're going. And he has, like he did. I know he didn't fall as such. He was probably knocked more than anything else here at Christmas. But you know, look, he's still a novice. I'm going to back him win only anyway, to be honest. But that might be the way other people want to play him. But I will face him though. I will back him.
Yeah, fair enough. It's good to talk about it that way as well, because I look at them differently. With there are plenty of bets that I'll have which potentially are even each way prices. But again, it's very individual to what the horse is, isn't it? And it's not we're saying that they're going to either win or bomb out, but you have to have that comfort, don't you? Because potentially you might be risking twice as much if you're doing each way, or it may be that if you're going to keep your risk the same, then you're reducing your potential winnings, aren't you? And then the whole risk reward scale tips in it. But there's plenty of people that just back each way if it's bigger than 5 to 1, don't they? Each to their own, I guess.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, look, I mean, I'm not mad about each way and chases. That's all now, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Like the fact that, like you say, one little mistake or anything that happens in and around you can cost you a race, can't it? Right, we'll move on to the mare. No, not the mare's bumper. Sorry, that's a bit rude of me. We'll move on to the boys' bumper, which, Johnny, I mean, we obviously, I don't want to like dwell on this too much, but Cheltenham obviously has its conditions of how many times you can run before you get to run in a feature bumper, the Cheltenham Festival bumper. A Dream to Share and Redemption Day. I don't think Redemption Day would be able to run in it after running in this, but like they wouldn't be eligible to run in there. Not saying they're ruining the race because they're not. It's still nice to see nice horses come out there, but you don't buy a racehorse to win bumpers. You buy a racehorse potentially to win a Gold Cup down the line. Is it a bit unfair that they get to come and do this because it's moved a couple of horses away, or given the fact that this year's Irish bumper crop, not to sound rude, but they seem a little bit subpar, does this just mean that the actual bumper is a good race this year as opposed to it being filled with cannon fodder? Do you like the fact they're able to run?
Look, I mean, I those kind of things, like, as far as I'm concerned, like, they are what they are. It don't really bother me. There's nothing I can do about it. Like, it's a bit like the mares, like Lacy out not running in the champion hurdle, and I think when the avenues are open to people, it's up to other people to close off these avenues and make sure that they can't run if they want to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like I actually read it for the other day. It was a good point what he made about the mares. He said the simple solution is make every race that's confined to mares, make none of them grade one. If they want to win grade ones, they've got to step out into open company. And this is the same here. There should be a limit to how many bumpers you run in. And whatever about the age barrier or whatever, but there should be a limit to how many bumpers you win in. And I think if you win a grade one bumper or in any season, you shouldn't be allowed probably running them next season, is right. I mean, I think it is possible to win the Cheltenham bumper 2 years in a row, is it?
Yeah, but it's a number of runs. So you can't have had more than 4, but your 4th can be in the Cheltenham bumper.
But
it does have stuff to do with pattern races as well.
It is possible to do it though, isn't it?
I think so, but I don't know. I don't know 100% because they changed the rule recently.
You can't be over a 6-year-old.
Yeah, I know that, but if you won it at 4, you could win it at 5, though, couldn't you?
You can, I think, yeah. You can.
Yeah, well, yeah, like, I mean, that shouldn't be happening either. I mean, a horse shouldn't be able to win the Cheltenham bumper twice, I don't think, anyway,
But I was just going to say, the only reason why, like, it begs the question is, a Dream to Share was favourite for the Supreme, wasn't he, for so long?
Yeah.
If they've got him fit to run at the racecourse and he's allowed to run on this bumper, if there wasn't €60,000 up for grabs here, he'd be running in a Grade 1 hurdle, wouldn't he?
But I suppose it's 60,000 doesn't make any difference to these people. Do it like at the same time,
No.
And like, I think it's the fact that they must think they have a chance of winning the Supreme without him, that kind of way. And they must think that the likes of whatever that Horse Mullins has, Mystical Storm, Jericho, the Repide, Mirrors West, they must think that they have enough already without putting this lad in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if he had a run in the maiden hurdle, say last week, I mean, what's his name? Mellon went to Cheltenham on the back of one run into the Supreme at the same time, finished second Lebec. Even that horse, even Stateman went to the county hurdle in the back of winning the race in fucking down Limerick or something, wasn't he? Like, you know what I mean? So, like, Mullins, they can do anything with hurdle. I'm surprised they didn't go over hurdles with him, because I have a feeling that they may not win the Supreme Novices hurdle with the horses they have left. But look, it is what it is anyway, and I have a feeling he might get beat in this race anyway. Dream to Share, to be honest. I'm not so sure. Like, that he must have had a setback. To say he's missed all up till now, and he cannot be like razor sharp. Surely, couldn't imagine that he would be. So I'd be taking him on anyway. I'd be looking for something to beat him. I might even possibly lay him. I'll see, because he is a year older, and you just don't really know. It's hard to compare one year to. Although, to be fair, like, the pumper he did win nearly every horse, won out of it at the same time, didn't he? So it is fairly good form. But look, I don't know. The fact that he's coming here, it's surely an afterthought anyway, isn't it, for starters? So they had to run him somewhere. Like, he's probably fit enough to run in this race, but maybe not fit enough to, maybe they mustn't consider him like that. Maybe that to fit enough maybe to go to Cheltenham and win. I don't even know what to do. But look, I just think he could be vulnerable. It still is his first run with ages. It's 9 months since his last race, and he's a 6-year-old. I know I'm going to chance laying him in here for something. I think he's quite short, and I do think Redemption Day is a good horse in his own right, and he definitely has a chance of beating him anyway. Some sort of a chance, surely. And there is other horses in this race that could take a step up as well. So look, I was going to go against the favourite now, and I might be wrong, but it is a fairly good. I mean, you've jokes like the Enabler, and then you have other horses that, like, you ought to know, the Yellow Clay, and they've never been beaten, them horses. Jeroboam, man, you don't know how good some of these horses are. You'll know on Saturday, but look, I just think the favourite. And again, he's not Mullins either. Do you know what I mean? So that's another thing. Like, if you're going to take on a favourite up here, and it is a horse not trained by Mullins, I think you should really take a little chance, because you won't get many opportunities to lay even money chances at this meeting that aren't trained by Willie Mullins.
Yep, that's fair enough. I'm in a similar disposition with him. I think with Redemption Day as well, it's 7-year-old bumper. I think Redemption Day shirked it behind that Jalon Duderies. He came onto the hindquarters, looked a bit too quirky for my liking. I don't think he put it all in at the finish. And obviously, he's entitled to come on for the run, having missed so much time. Maybe they have saved it for this because they're happy to get another trophy in the cabinet. But it's there. Like, I want to try and find something to take a dream to share on with. I don't want to take him on with Redemption Day. I don't know how to play it after. So I'll have a think about it. Jamie, do you think this could be one of those, though, that me and Johnny might lay a dream to share and then we look silly after if it scoots up? Like, do you think it's plausible that he is just miles clear of these? The horses bar Redemption Day aren't the best bumper horses, are they? So should we just be betting him, or do you want to take him on too?
I wouldn't be touching him at that price anyway. The 5 to 4, that's woeful. Woeful. It's definitely a lay anyway, especially the amount of time he's had off. But exactly, echoing said, the two of them shouldn't be in this bumper in a million years. It's ridiculous. They have to become bringing some. A 7-year-old shouldn't be in a bumper, to be honest, especially after running in a champion bumper, then was second to Facile Vega in a bumper, now it's back in bumpers after a year off. Like, it should be over hurdles. Like, it's simple as that. There should be a rule there somewhere. I don't really fancy anything here, Dave, to be honest. Like, the only horse that I kind of fancy is You Ought to Know, after hammering Crow Park in Kilbeggan, Crow Park. What is he? Mine with grade 2 or grade 3 horse. I don't fancy him for the Elder Bartlett anyway. He beat a horse. He gave 2 stone to a horse in Galway, Mahis, called Toto 2. And Toto 2 was favourite for the grade 2 novice in the October meeting, won by Lookaway. That's a small bit of form there. But 9 to 1, look, it's up to yourself. Like, it drifted from 11 to 2 there to 9 to 1. And they're hammering a dream to share. But look, I think if I'm winning, I'll have a bet for the sake of having a bet. But if I'm not winning, I'll just sit it out and I'll just watch it. But look, if one of these horses beats a dream to share on Redemption Day, well, I'll probably go in favour for the bumper, won't it?
Yeah, and I don't know if we've got a class level of like that level of class horse that's in here. Like I said, I do think the bumper crop has been a bit weak, but it is what it is, right? It's cyclical. We do get these phases where it's domination from one side of the sea and then potentially the other. Like I touched on that handicap earlier. Like, when do you see an Irish 0 to 150 at a big meeting like this that's got a horse rated a stone below the top figures? Maybe the horses just aren't there at the minute, but is what it is, right? Should we move on to Sunday, gentlemen? Because I mean, I've been waffling as much as I like to do. You still good with us, Johnny? You happy to carry on, mate?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Right, beautiful. So on Sunday, I will I'll peel them all up again. We actually have got extra races to cover, so I'll try and be a bit more concise with how much I input in these. But I will just remind the viewers out there again, there's 153 of you live, so thank you very much for joining. Put in the comments your best bet for Saturday and Sunday. I say best bet. Whoever gets the biggest price paying, and it has to obviously win, the biggest price paying, winning SP across the 2 days. From the live comments, I will pick one of you. I've touched on it before. If you pick 2 short prices and the profit's minimal, I might give you a pack of Haribo. If you pick some big price winners, I will buy you a ticket to a big race meeting. So if you're in Ireland, I'll get you a week pass to Punchestown or something. If you're in Cheltenham, I'll buy you a ticket for Cheltenham. But obviously take the risk with some bigger prices, see how you do. So make sure you've liked the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and then make sure we find some winners. Right, Sunday, the Mayor's Handicap Hurdle starts off. This has been a race in the past where we have had some nice winners. Jamie, I remember a few years ago when we managed to get Heaven Help Us. I think we had the forecast that year as well. Yeah, that was a weekend when we couldn't do anything wrong. I've desperately been searching in here to try and find a bet, looking the wrong end of the market, really. I say the wrong end. I've been looking down the bigger price ones, see if I can find anything. And I can't really get excited about those towards the front of it. Risk Bell's rated 136 after being trounced by Jatara. Yes, you could say it wasn't the running, but then maybe we'll learn a little bit about what Jatara does on the first race, the first day before betting her. But she looks awfully short as much as it is a girl's race. And Foxy Girl, I know Dave Jennings mentioned it recently about saying this horse must have tons in hand, but I don't know if I see it. Now, it is a different sphere when the girls are running against the girls, but I can't get excited about this. As it stands, I won't be having a bet unless one of you two can talk me into it. So, Johnny, is this the kind of race you like to get stuck into? You got one that we like or not?
No, this is the one race I definitely won't be having a bet on up there anyway. And this thing, I couldn't get over it. There was horses 3-1 in this race. You know, that looks very short. 3-2, like, you know what I mean? Even money to pair combined. I just looked down through. I've seen better races here too. To be fair, it's probably not a great contest, but I just at 3-1, it had no interest in it, none whatsoever. Absolutely none whatsoever. No, I couldn't even see at a quite a decent price that you'd kind of fancy. I wouldn't go to bet the race, to be honest. No way.
Yes, I mean that makes me feel better as well, because I felt very similar. Not that we've got to have a bet in every single race, but you know, when you spend a bit of time looking at 25 runners in a race and then you think, I should have just seen the title of it, seen it's a mare's handicap and just skipped it. Sometimes I'm a bit of a snob like that. Jamie, have you got one in here that you fancy, or are you joining us and sitting on the bench?
Probably sitting on the bench after seeing the price of Foxy Girl, because 3-1 is desperate on what she's achieved. But look, I thought Rachel gave her, I don't know, a weird ride, went up the inside, full of horses, and on common practice went all the way around the outside in the Drimore meeting in the 2 mile handicap. Then she got hampered at the last. But exactly what you're saying, what Dave Jennings said, that there is a handicap in this, and she's back against her own sex. But would you trust her at that price? Oh God, no. And I had a look down at it earlier. Now that feat of a dancer, I see a lot of people saying that was impressive enough, really, the last day. With one hard held, but I think I'll sit this one out too. But look, I wouldn't shock me if Foxy Girl won. No,
Yeah,
another
fair
favourite,
enough.
I know, but it's just one of those.
Well, it is one of those. This would be the type of thing, because after we do this, I do like to see what everyone else's opinions are. Watch the other previews that plenty of people are putting out there, because someone out there will be able to find the one at a price and sell me a case. So I might bet off the back of someone else's opinion, but I won't be having a bet off my own back. There are some good races. There's got to be something we can get stuck into, right? We don't know what the final fields are for Sunday at the time of recording. I would have said we've got a good idea of what's happening, because, well, Johnny definitely believed that Corbett's Cross was going to the Scilly Isles at Sandown. I think we all did after Emmett was talking about what type of headgear they're going to put on TV. We potentially all thought that Gaelic Warriors would be running against Marine Nationale. So the race has turned on its head a little bit. But for the benefit of looking at it now, we'll have to make our own assumptions about who is going to come into this race. We had Mighty Potter winning this race last year, who he hung a bit at Cheltenham, right? And I didn't notice it's at Leopardstown. You wouldn't, because the rail and the chute's so small. But they do all come to the stand size rail. I saw a little tendency in him to hang, but it didn't make enough of a difference. Gallop and Deschamps won it in the past. We've had Monkfish. We had Forheen those years ago. Like, there's typically good winners in here. I mean, it's nice that the Bricks came over when Le Bagois won it, but that was a meeting that was marred by rock hard ground. So I guess, Johnny, the best thing to say is, I don't think it takes a genius to see how the bookies have priced this one up. Gaelic Warrior does, especially right-handed, does look a monster. I, for one, have massive reservations about this horse going left-handed, especially over bigger obstacles. I know there's not as much space at Leopardstown for him to potentially hang, but he has jumped a bit to his right. And that song and a dance that Patrick made about his cousin coming up on the inside of him saying, "Don't do that. I told you not to go on the inside of him." It's a tiny bit worrying that you're that worried about a horse like being like so close to him. Like, I don't know, a bit temperamental. Maybe he's being protective of him. I don't know if Grange-Clare West's going to come in. I presume Corbett's Cross probably will, unless he's had some sort of niggle. But the fact that Gaelic Warrior does come in, do you think there's anything in this field that would be capable of beating him? Do you think he's a sure thing, or do you have worries about him too?
Well, what's going to run in this race now?
Well, I believe Gaelic Warrior Factor File will run, but then I mean, I could be wrong. I don't think Grange-Clare West will. I'm not sure on Corbett's Cross, because I don't know why he didn't go to Sandown.
Right.
America might come in here.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard. No, I don't know if it's true or not. I have heard Corbett's Cross won't be here anyway, and neither will Factor File, I'd say.
Okay.
Corbett's Cross I only heard this morning that he had a little bad scope or something like that. That's why he didn't run in Sandown. I'd say he was never coming here, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's going to be here. And another fella told me that, because I said to him that I'm surprised that Gaelic Warrior is they're going to run him against Factor File. He said I don't think Factor File is running. So it could be Gaelic Warrior against Grange-Clare West, then, would it?
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't know. I don't. Maybe if like it'll be interesting to see how he does or how pronounced the disadvantage will be to going this way around. Like if he starts jumping, no, I don't know. So, sometimes, like if he just shifts to the right, I wouldn't see any worries from you know what I mean. But if he starts like losing 8 lengths in every fence, then you're in real trouble if you're on him. Like for that reason alone. Now Barry Geraghty, I heard him saying there that it's going to be as a serious disadvantage going this way. So I'd respect what he says at the same time, and I'd hate to be on him at a sharp price and he hitting the right wing of the fence going around the place. You know what I mean? Jumping across because you could be beat very early on here. You know that kind of way if he starts doing that. No, I don't know. I mean, okay, he jumped to the right in over hurdles, but it wasn't too bad though, was it? I don't know. But he says it'll be worse over fences, Barry Geraghty. I heard him saying that one night. So I'd respect what he's saying. He's ridden a lot of horses. So look, for that reason, I do think he has a huge engine though, and I do think he'd have to do a lot wrong not to win. But maybe he can do a lot wrong. I don't know. I won't be paying to find out whether he does or he doesn't at the same time.
Yeah, I feel a bit like that, and like I said, I do. I feel like I know he'll get away with it around Leopardstown. Like the jumping, he might not be able to do, but we saw Facile Vega on his chase debut making all sorts of shapes over the fences. But then it's like an engine type track. I mean, he got away with it, and like I said, the fact that they have the rail near the fence side on the right hand side, like he's got enough to that side to stop him doing it, rather than it being wide open and him hanging about. Like I would definitely...
David, if he's jumping right, going down every fence at the back straight. And on the straights, he loses an eternity of ground. No matter what track it is, at the same time.
Like, yeah, true.
It depends. Like if he shifts to the, what I'm talking about, if he shifts to the right and loses a length or a length and a half, but you've seen horses yourself that they lose 10 and 12 lengths at every fence doing it. Sometimes the real bad cases I'm talking about now. You know what I mean? And if he does something like that, he couldn't win, no matter what kind of an engine he has. So it would be interesting to see how much ground he will lose. Like I'd say, you'll have a good idea after about 2 fences how you're going to be fixed, because usually these things get worse as the race goes on. You know.
Yeah, definitely, and that's the thing. Like tactically, it'll be interesting because, as I say, with the Patrick thing about saying not having a horse on his right hand side. A lot of these types that do jump out, you might get cover. Like in Cheltenham in the Ballymore, he just ran next to Champ Kylie the whole way up the straight. But obviously, it'll be interesting to see what Paul does, whether he just bucks him out in front and gives him the sight of a whole fence, or whether he does try and take a bit of a lead and get covered. But he's just so quick, and we'll find a lot out about him. But like you say, I'm exactly the same as you. I won't be paying to find out one way or the other. Jamie,
like, if they rode him like Ruby rode York Hill one day in Cheltenham, like he might get away with it too. Do you know that kind of way?
Yeah.
But then you can't use his jumping, doing that, riding him that way. Then that's nearly as big as that's at the same time.
Yeah. I guess they get a chance that they get 2 bites of the cherry by coming here first. They get to try it first. If it doesn't work out, they got time to fix it before Cheltenham. They like when an Ergamine got done by those white fences at Cheltenham. Jamie, is there a bet in the race? Obviously, it's been turned on its head a little bit. We would have been talking about this very differently if Gaelic wasn't coming here. But the fact that we believe that he is, are you going to have a bet? You're going to not bet? You're going to just wait and find out? You're going to lay? How do you see it?
I suppose the smaller the field, Dave, I'd worry about Gaelic Warrior because of obviously he's obviously going to be dropped in here. I think anyway, personally myself, that he'll be dropped in because where I thought if he ran into 2-miler, the only way he was going to beat Marie National is buck out in front and catch me if you can kind of a job. What Johnny said there, like, isn't great. Claire West looks what he did at Christmas and the way he beat. Now I know that was 3 miles. But he's won over 2.5 at Nace at the start here. Like 6-1 looks big there now. The 2 lads don't turn up. The 2 JP horses looks massive on what he did at Christmas. But Gaelic Warrior to me, like he got it. Like he was the handicap, I suppose, good thing last year at the meeting. But that was a 20 runner handicap, and Townend put him up in the inside, and he booked out. And his worst jump really was at the last, where he went from the inside to nearly out the middle of the track, and that was his worst jump of the whole race. I think he'll get away with it if he's up the inside and some horse is next to him, and he just he'll jump straight enough. But out in the open, I'd be very worried about, because exactly what Johnny says, if he goes jinx 4 lengths to the right, 4 lengths to whatever he does out or from one side and up to the middle of the fence, that's 1-2 lengths every fence. And exactly what Johnny says there, and even what you're saying, Dave, is like he won't get away with that. I don't care what engine he has, exactly what he's saying, but I still think he wins because I think he's just better than all these.
Yeah, he's definitely got.
It's a possibility that they could run something like Mr. Policeman to keep him into, wouldn't it?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. I wouldn't disagree with you there, Johnny.
You know that because he has no chance in here, but he could take him to he could take him to the third last at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's where I go back to again, Patrick's outburst, right? He didn't want a horse up his inside, did he? So then it worries me in a hurdle race, getting cover and then jumping over like a low hurdle is one thing. And like you said, Johnny, his jumping over hurdles wasn't too bad. They see him work at home, don't they? The fact that Patrick kicked up such a stink about having a horse on his inside would then make me think, how many fences have we got here in this race? There's 13 fences. No, I don't know how many fences. There's a bunch of fences they have to jump. If Patrick didn't want him to do it at one of the fences, I'm scared that they're not going to want to get covered. I think they'll buck him out, see if they can just keep him straight, and then we'll find out after. But it's a fascinating race. It's got much more complexion to it than ever. And I'm like, if Gaelic Warrior was just a straightforward horse, he'd be short odds on it. It's even the same for Cheltenham, innit? Bookies have got him at even money, but it was as big as 2-1 the other day when there was a potential switch to the Arkle. But it's a good looking race. This is the beauty of horse racing, right? As much as you want to get stuck in and have a bet in every single race, sometimes you learn a lot more by not investing because you're not pocket talking or even after. We've got a good race after though, and this is one that I do feel like could be a bit of a betting medium. It's the 2 mile novice hurdle. Ballyburn's instilled as the even money favourite. Now, if we look at previous winners of this in the past, we've had Ilete Thompson. Is this Chanel Farm, isn't it? So Gerhard, Appreciate It's won it. Steering for Launch, Classical Dream won it. Sam Crow won it. Bacardi's has won it. Nichols Canyon won it. Vitor, Champagne Fever. So the reason why I've whittled all the way down that far is we do, yes, get lots of Supreme types that go in. We do get lots of horses that go on and win a Supreme, but we do get some horses that could stay a little bit further. Ballyburn is definitely that conundrum, I suppose, this season so far. So, Johnny, first and foremost, Ballyburn, do you think he's a 2 miler or a 2.5 miler, or is he just so good that he should win over both trips?
Look, I'd say there's a good chance he could be as good over either anyway. You know what I mean? I'd say I do think he will win at Cheltenham now myself. I could say it's a good chance he could win either race. I'd say it will all depend on how good Mythical Power is, really, you know. And if Mythical Power is a really, really good horse, they might send him to the 2.5, even if he won this. But if he did win this by half the track, it'd be hard to send him to 2.5 mile race. It all depends on what happens, I suppose, on Sunday, to be fair, you know. Maybe he get beaten the race. Who knows? He's even money to win, so he's even money to lose. So look, I think I didn't originally think he was as good as fellas were saying, but I think what he did the last day was out of this world. Like he's beat a horse that won an Ace Maiden Hurdle 25 lengths. You know what I mean? Even the third horse, like Apples of Brazil, didn't look a bad bumper horse, and even the fourth horse was made about 70 lengths in one sense. You know what I mean? So I do think he's a pretty decent horse, a very, very decent horse, and there is good talk of him too. So I wouldn't be opposing him anyway, to be honest. But it's really up in the air as to what race he'll run in. I have backed him for the 2 mile race, but I won't be shocked even if he won this that he didn't run it at the same time. Yeah,
fair enough. So the even money isn't quite tempting enough to make you want to bet him, but you expect him to win, I'm guessing.
Oh no, the evens will be fine. The evens will be fine. Yeah, I would. The evens, I tell you, he'll be my major player on Sunday anyway. That's for certain. Even money is more than perfect as far as I'm concerned. I do think I'd back him at shorter if I had to be honest.
Yes, good man, Johnny, because this is one that I have done tissues with him before. So even the ones that are in behind, like Farron Glory was probably going to win the Tolworth that was rearranged at Aintree. Slade Steel, I do like as a horse, but I think he's just a bit of a grade 2 horse. And he was behind Ballyburn in that bumper when he at Punchtown. Like, he hasn't got the measure of him. And Daddy Longlegs was just never really put into the race at Christmas, pulled up. But I mean, he'd need nicer ground, could potentially be one, but then off the back of pulling up, you'd be mad to probably wanting to bet him. I would make Ballyburn much shorter. And the fact is, once we get the final declarations, he probably will shorten up from even money, and especially if Willie's had a few winners. So it's good to know that as well, because I was tempted to have a good bit on him. Jamie, Ballyburn, you like this horse. You said at the start of the season, why was no one talking about him for a Supreme type horse? So no surprise to you to see him over this trip. You must be excited that he's out. You must think, given this is a relatively weak renewal of this race, he's a good thing too.
Oh yeah. I'll be in all both your camps here. Definitely. Yeah. This is the great one. I suppose value, even money to me is value for him. I can't see nothing beating this horse. The way he did it at Leopardstown at Christmas, beating Cletus Pulau, he's won at Nace. The fourth horse will come out and win, and exactly what Johnny said, Apples in Brazil, I didn't think was a bad bumper horse either. Yeah, I'm going to have a big bet in this, and I have a big bet on him. Good couple of bets on him for the Supreme. I hope he goes in the Supreme because the other 27 races at Cheltenham, I couldn't care less about him if he wins the Supreme. And I'm being honest with you there. But yeah, I'm going to get stuck in it even money. I think it's a huge price. I think he should be odds on. Look, there is small bit of depth in the race. Far and Glory obviously beat King of Kingsfield. King of Kingsfield, I see he's got a handicap rating of 140. Might get on to him soon. But like Slade Steele was still 7 lengths behind him in the Punchestown bumper, and the way he pulled through the whole race and still beat Slade Steele by 7 lengths in the bumper. Look, I know it's a bumper, it's gone to hurdles, but look, I think whatever race he runs it here, he'll win here. He'll win the Supreme or he'll win the Ballymore. One or the other. I can't see nothing. But I think he's a top class horse. Yeah.
Nice. It was interesting because I know Michael O'Leary talks a lot of crap, so you can't really trust what he says. But King of Kingfield's come in here. They think he's like their number one chance of a Supreme, but that probably just maybe says as much about him as anything else, doesn't it? He's probably like, I guess there's a couple of them in there that are prices if you were trying to take him on, but then you do genuinely just beg the question of why would you possibly want to take him on? I'm tempted to have a few put on him before he shortens up before Sunday because I don't think after final decks there'll be too much more of that even money about. I mean, that's good, right? As much as we want juicy, big price winners to gloat about, we want the 50-1 Lebates like Jamie Codd to clip and replay. As long as we get a few quid in the pocket, it doesn't really matter. And I'm glad we're all singing off the same hymn sheet there. Right, the Dublin Chase is, I think, actually going to be a pretty tasty looking race, to be honest with you, if we get El Fabio versus Dino Blue. Now, Gentleman to Me won the race last year, turning over Blue Lord. Chacon Poursoise won it a few times in the past. Min won here before he used to go and see the backside of Altior over in Cheltenham. Now, look, John Bond fluffed these lines at Cheltenham. I talked about him starting to jump left a little bit. He was doing that. James Bowen giving him the ride, I thought I know he got pelters for it, and it probably isn't deserved, but Nico went on and was more confident and keen with him. I don't know. It's difficult because we don't need to talk about him in this particular race, but Al Fabiola's claims for a champion chase have significantly been enhanced off the back of that, even though he was the most likely winner of the race anyway. Dino Blue, right, Jamie? When we did our previews turn of the year, I talked about this one. We said, didn't we? Like potential fly in the ointment, right? We're not 100% sure if she definitely wants the 2.5 mile trip. If she comes in here getting the £7, I know it's girls' figures, right? But on official rating, she's still got half a stone to find with an El Fabiolo, right? What would it like? Do you think there's in any way, shape, or form that Dino Blue could actually be El Fabiolo if she runs in it, or do you just think that she's just going to be another like lamb to the slaughter that El Fabiolo is just going to destroy?
I don't really like her, but I suppose she's going to get like handicap pace that she was used to last year. No, she was still beating in the Grand Annual off 140. You have to remember that. Gentleman to Me was his first run of the season, and it went off like the clappers, and she just caught him at the end. So he's going to come on for that run, and he still waited 165. Won this race last year because Blue Lord bombed at 1-4. But can you see either of the two of them ever getting near Fabiola? Possibly not. But I remember last year sitting in the stand and everyone go, "Oh, he absolutely took the fort last with him," and he got away with it. He seems to get away with making bad mistakes. But sometimes if Gentleman to Me goes off really fast, you just never know. Do you know what I mean? But look, on his day, if he jumps around and gets the fast pace that he needs, that Gentleman to Me will provide him, he should win, shouldn't he? Really, 4-11 is desperate price. But look, I won't be backing him. I'll be sitting this one out, watching him and onto the champion chase because he stands up, he beats John Bon all day. Like,
yeah, fair enough. Johnny, I suppose on that one, like the people will be looking at multiples and that type of stuff. For me, seeing him as a 1-3 poke, yes, I fully expect that he wins this. But as Jamie's touched on, right, he made a bit of a hash of a fence here before. I know you can't really use this, but like Blue Lord did get turned over at long odds on last year. He's priced very defensively by the bookmakers as far as I'm concerned because everyone expects him to go and win. El Fabiolo does just win though, right? But would you be putting people off, putting him in multiples, or would you be saying stick him in, or is there a value bet elsewhere?
I mean, he'd probably win and he should win, but there always kind of looks like there might be a fall in him, you know, kind of way. someday, you know, that kind of way. I don't know. I look, he wouldn't be for me in 1 to 3 now, but he should win. He's unopposable at the same time. I always think it's threes on and chases. I'd rather bet him in a hurdle race. Like I think I'd rather back Stateman at some similar kind of odds than this fella, you know, that kind of way. Even though they both look winners, and it's hard to see Dino Blue beat them at the same time. I think if he stands up, he'd win. And if he does, or if he just make a bad mistake, but you just never know with horses. And the first threes on chance to give, like I genuinely wouldn't have a bet. I wouldn't back a 3-1 and shot in a chase. I just think there's still fences they have to jump, and they make one, like you might get away with a mistake in a hurdle, but you could fall in it very easy in a chase mistake. And look, I'm not going to back him, but I do expect him to win, and I won't be having a bet in the race at the same time.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you for that. And again, lots of people will say it, won't they? Like if you've got 1,100 to bet to win 4, then you don't need the 400 that you're potentially going to get back. And it's a similar thing with the ACCA sometimes. As much as it boosts it, makes the payout look that little bit bigger. And I know it's not people's money, but I would be lukewarm on this one to even think about putting an ACCAs. Yes, I fully expect him to win, but there's got to be some element of it in there, whether you're getting some sort of value, I guess. But that value is obviously in the eye of the beholder. We do expect, he is a monster, like I fully expect him to win. Let's move on to another monster, Johnny, in Stateman. You did already name drop him in there. This Irish champion hurdle he took last year when he downed Honeysuckle. Honeysuckle took it the 3 years prior. Apples Jade's a winner in it. We've had a few lukewarm ones, Super Sunday, Petit Mouchoir. Then we go back to the golden generation. 14, Hurricane Fly, Hurricane Fly, Hurricane Fly, Hurricane Fly, Hurricane Fly. Those were the days, right, where you could just turn up, back Hurricane Fly at whatever price, and you didn't have any type of worry about it. Real good renewal that year that Arkle got close to him as well. Obviously, what would have happened if that horse had continued begs the question. We don't really know, do we? But in this instance, right, Stateman, like easily, as far as I'm concerned, handled Impere Pass. I thought Impere Pass's run behind TOP wasn't as bad as everyone made out, despite him being beaten odds on. I think that was optimum conditions for TOP. I thought he ran well. And I think he ran well enough behind Stateman as well, to be honest with you. But Stateman is just a better horse. I guess we know, like you were saying, given he's a similar price to El Fabiolo, and you expect them both to win. Can I just get a word on Bob Ollinger? After that real kill run, looked like he was back to a bit more of himself. I know it's not the same standard of form as Stateman's. The guy that looks after him, rides him at home, was after saying that he actually wished he didn't want to go to the real kill. He wanted to run him against Stateman at Christmas. Would you give Bob Ollinger any hope of beating a Stateman?
Oh,
he's back. He's coming. He's coming.
Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Is it because I mentioned Bob Ollinger, Johnny? Was that what it was?
No. I don't know what happened there. Yeah. Look, I think Stateman should win it. I mean, I don't see why. I don't see what will beat him, and it's very hard to see Bob Ollinger stepping up to these kind of horses, isn't it? I think it is anyway. He travels well, all right, but he wanted to resolve to get by these horses. I don't think at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. And again, I know, like, I shouldn't. Everyone's allowed to do what they want with their own money. It's just because I know so many old romantics will start getting lured in to the Bob Ollinger bit, and I can see it to some small degree. But he's a 9-year-old, and it's still mad. Stateman's only 7, and he's done lots of winning. Jamie, is it like it's just that straightforward? Probably another race that's not worth a bet. Wait, if people want to stick with their ackles or whatever they want to do. But do you expect if there's any way Impere Pass can go beyond Stateman? Because at the beginning of the season, a lot of people thought they could.
I'll be having a bet in here, and you'll probably call me out in this, and might be talking absolute nonsense here. But I'm going to back Impere Pass at 4-1, yeah, all day long. And Johnny might disagree. Dave, you might disagree. I think the only way he beats him, Stateman. Look, the track at Christmas is in the inside track, and to me, I know, look, Stateman's won, and it's on the real inside track at Leopardstown at Christmas, where the Madison is run. Now they're kind of gone further out, and it's a little bit more galloping. No, he's beat Honeysuckle last year. There's no doubt about that. He beat it well, and Honeysuckle went on to win her swan song in the mares. But I think he'll get a lot closer to Stateman this time around. And he was keen in the race last day. And Daryl Jacob, like, technically, like Imperial Pass is technically a stair. There's 1 minute he's a 2 miler, 1 minute he's a 2.5. Another minute he's in the stairs hurdle, he'll be running there. I think, to be honest with you, if Daryl, is it going to be Daryl Jacob probably or whoever?
Yeah.
I think if you buck him out and put him ahead of Stateman, we'll see how good Stateman is then, because every time he runs around Ireland, Stateman, he gets the run of the race and he's not really tested. And he proved that last year in the Champion Hurdle that he's nowhere near Constitution Hill. And basically, if you take him on, you're going to beat him. So tactics in this race is going to look. You'll know straight away if he's behind Imperial Pass behind Stateman, you probably have no chance. But I think if he goes ahead of him and takes him on, I think he's a great bet of 4-1. And I think maybe this is the day that he beats him. And I'm going to go for I'm going to go against Stateman for once, and I think Imperial Pass will beat him. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess it's very similar, even with the price where it's up there. You got a 5-runner race, haven't you? You get 4-1. Would we say if this race was run 5 times, Imperial Pass could win it once? I'd be less inclined to say yes, like I would with the Facile Vega thing. But I'm in the same camp as you, mate, with Facile Vega as you are with Imperial Pass.
Yeah.
Fair enough, right? We're all out to make mistakes. We make enough mistakes, we get one of them right, don't we?
Well,
I'll
have a lot of people. I'll have my 2 hands over my ears flapping anyway if he beats Stateman anyway, and everyone on Stateman.
I know you get the season form as it goes on, but like I said, at the beginning of the season, Imperial Pass was the second coming, wasn't he? And then all of a sudden he's not. He has been running well, but yeah, it is what it is. There's a price for everything, right? Let's move on to the handicap chase. 2 mile, 5.5. Decent enough looking race. This is one where, again, we don't have the final declaration. This will be much harder to have a strong opinion in. Before they refresh, you can see Fakir Doudris is up the top. They have got to be trying to get this horse's mark down. 161 he's running off. I thought he ran all right in Cheltenham, to be honest with you, after a bit of a break. He's 20-1. Like, if he does come in here, I will be having a small sacrificial lamb bet on him, but you can't imagine that he'll be able to give tons and tons of weight to horses like Hartwood, James de Burley, even, to be fair. How's that horse not been winning races? Now he's rated 149. Meeting of the Waters for William Mullins as well. Finally turned the corner and got a couple of wins in there. Look, it looks a pretty good race. It's one that we need final declarations to really get stuck into, or at least I do before I have a bet. I've mentioned Fakir Doudris off the top of it. I mean, come on, you guys are going to have to help me out in here. Johnny, is it a race you've looked at? Is there any horses in here you had lined up for it, or have you got a bet that you think you could have?
I haven't, Dave. To be honest, I just, there was so many horses into the race. I didn't really study Sundays because I don't know what's running. You know what I mean? And I like with the 2-day decks, I never bother looking at races anymore until the actual decks come out. You know what I mean? That kind of way. So it gives the 2 days now is so handy. It gives you a good chance to do as much work as you need to do on the race. So that's quite handy. I like the fact that there's 48 hours declarations these days, but so I don't bother looking at races anymore really as such. I might the odd time have a look at it and maybe a few days ahead and see what's the makeup of a card, but I don't really study the races in depth because invariably the horses that you look at don't even turn up, and so or the opposite. Turns up, it could be no race and it's not even worth having a bet in. So look, I honestly didn't look at these races, particularly the ones with the big fields in them, like these handicaps. I didn't really look at the ones on Sunday, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And like, again, it's important. Like, you don't have to have an opinion every single race, but like it is there. I do a very similar thing now. It's 48-hour decks. Also, as well, you know, when you were talking about Predator's Gold very early on, when you're saying you see them at 7-1, then you review their price after. It sometimes does your head in when you look at these before the 48-hour declarations, and then you see them at, say, 20-1. Then they get finally declared and they're 8-1. They could still be value at 8-1, but you can't get it out of your head that you saw a couple of days before they were a bigger price. So I think you're better to swerve them unless you've got one already lined up. Jamie, have you got one lined up? Have you got one we could stick in a double with Path de Rue?
And yeah, it's Cromwell again. Yeah. If either, I just keep it short and sweet. If either I know the way you're thinking or Percival or Galva will turn up here, I'll back either.
Even though Gavin said that Path de Rue was his best bet of the weekend. We liked Percival, didn't he? He did a good turn last year, didn't he?
It doesn't matter. If one of the two of them turn up, I'd be back either.
Nice. I mean, I will probably have some sort of sentimental bet on Percival Laguerre after what happened last year for us there. Right, we will move swiftly on. Handicap hurdle, so it might be more of the same from you, Johnny. So I'll go to Jamie first, but we'll check in with you just in case there was anything you liked in here. This was a race where King of Kingsfield is entered, but as I say, I feel like Michael O'Leary said that he's going to run in that novice hurdle. It'll be interesting to see where he does go. He is taking up the head of the market in here. it's a race that, again, I didn't have anyone lined up for it. It's a race that I haven't gone through to have a look at it. King of Kingsfield is definitely interesting off a mark of 140 for potential handicaps, but I don't know whether he's actually officially earned that against proper horses. Jamie, is it a race you've had a look at and you got anything for us?
Not really, Dave. I was kind of looking at it there earlier on today when I should have been working. But anyway, King of Kingsfield, if it runs here off 140, is very interesting because I think he needs better ground and he probably might get it. There's no rain. And he looks like to me, he likes to be buried in the big field, but good ground, I think, is the key to him. He got his kind of ground at Leopardstown. You see where he travelled and he scooted clear from Mirasol West. I suppose the two interest me. It's just not out of the ordinary. Is two Willie Mullins horses. I suppose the one first time out, the one the Moniers have got from France, was very interesting and came out of a mark of 133 in the HRA ratings, and all of a sudden then they slapped another £6 on him. Maybe that's through form through France or whatever, some horse spawn or anything. Now he's off 139. I might be talking nonsense there, but he's very interesting. And the other horse, I suppose, to see a lot of people going on form because of a lot will depend on how far and Glory runs in the Grade 1. Is he was third to ride on his body stock, but my biggest problem with him is that I think he's a weak finisher, and I think the old steep climb up to the hill, he might get found out right at the death. But look, he'll travel away like a good horse, but he needs better ground, and he's like a second season novice as well in this. Like so, but look, no real confidence. But if King Kingsfield does run here, I will back him in.
Nice, Johnny. So I guess it could be similar to the previous race. You probably haven't looked at it. You got
No,
no
I
interest
haven't
in-
looked at it in depth. No, I haven't. To be honest, I haven't.
Fair enough. Just skimming.
I'd be more inclined. I'd nearly be more inclined to have a bet in a handicap chase than a handicap hurdle because there's more dead wood in the handicap chases, I think. But as the handicap hurdles, they're not as exposed sometimes, you know.
Yep, definitely. And then you get horses like I've just hovered over him. So Scottish was hammered in that December Gold Cup and then fell very early on. They were talking about him pre-race as well. He had the tongue tie on for the first time. Emmett was interviewed before and sounded very bullish. Obviously, we never found out what he did. The fact that they're dropping him back in trip and the fact they're running him back over hurdles for 128, I know it's mad. You shouldn't really bet on this because it's not even off of any sort of substance, but he will not be 16-1 if he's declared and goes off on the day, regardless of whether they actually fancy him or there's anyone's heard any words. Someone will start some sort of plunge on him. But again, I've not really actually looked at the race, but 16-1 about him, semi-tempting for me to hold maybe 10 or 20 quid before we get to the weekend. Right, we're going to move on to the last race, which is the Mares Bumper. There's not, again, a great deal of depth in this race as far as I'm concerned. It's got a very similar feel to the race from Saturday in the fact that there's two towards the head of the market. You can understand why they are there. I feel more so with the girls. Aurora Vega was pretty impressive. Obviously, the bloodline of it's why they like the horse. Femme Magnifique was a pretty decent bumper winner. I think when everyone was going crazy on Twitter about which horse was leading up El Fabiolo or one of the horses in there, people were saying that it was Femme Magnifique or whether it came out on the road to Cheltenham with Lydia and Ruby. But there's a few nice horses in here, to be fair. This in previous years, right? If there's something I've seen in the season visually that's given me the impression of that's a bit of a weapon, I'll have a little go on them. I think it was Lily de Burley a couple of years ago that I backed that got done short head. There was like a head short head between the first few of them. That was a big priced one. It's not a race, again, that I've gone in any depth, but I do know most of these horses from watching them running the bumpers before. There isn't anything in here that I would have a strong fancy on. But Johnny, have you seen any of these through the season that you think is worth taking a chance on in here?
No, not particularly. I'd say this hasn't been a bad race for the bookies. I know the favourite won it last year, fun, but I'm just looking at the results before that. 40, 18, 25, the previous three winners, and skinny enough favourites beaten in some of them races as well. Look, I don't have a huge opinion. Mare bumpers for me wouldn't be I don't have a huge. I suppose whatever Patrick Mullins will ride probably has a good chance. But look, again, you're dealing with horses here that I don't know a lot of. If you force me up against the wall, I think I'd go Monji Bello. I thought it won with its mouth open up the north and Stevens' day, and it did run well against only by night in Navan as well. And look, it likes a bit of slow ground and they've won it the last 2 years. Moonier and Swade actually they won it with fun, and they won it with some Burley thing belonged to Crawford the year before. And not that means anything anyway. But look, if I won't be having a bet in this anyway, not in a million years. But if you did give me a free bet, I'd probably chuck it on Monte Gabello.
Yeah, fair enough. And again, this goes back to the top of the show beginning bit. We talk about the fact that, I don't want to say rude, but like, it's not a patch on Cheltenham. We've got the fact that we're going back to the second or third race of the day. Ballyburn would be a good bet, and then you're not necessarily struggling after, but you could easily see yourself sitting back and just watching the rest of the races after. Whereas come Cheltenham, we're definitely having a bet in something. It's a good job Ballyburn looks nice and laid back, Jamie, because listening to us talk about these previous races, the pressure's mounting for him. He's got to do the business. Or have you got something, right? If we have, not obviously gamble responsibly, is there anything in the absolute getting out stakes that we could get on?
No, I'd be in the bar, Dave, for this. Don't fancy anything this. To be honest with you, I'd be in the owners and trainers sitting down, having my pint in a glass and contemplating life. Then after that, so I have to go home. Then after that,
I tell you what, boys,
it's a long way. It's a long way back to Kerry from Dublin, Dave. But, if I'm thinking of getting out in the mayor's bumper, I definitely I'm a woeful punter then. Like,
but I tell you what, it does make the even money about Ballyburn seem a little bit bigger after we've just gone through the rest of these races. I do tell you. So anyway, I think that wraps it up. As I say to you guys in the comments, it's only live comments that will be entered in it. Put your selection in for Saturday, Sunday. Whoever gets the biggest SP paying double, I will give you some sort of reward. As I say, if you put in crap prices and they both win, I'll buy you a pack of sweets. If you get some big price, juicy double, I will buy you a reward that is worthy of the SP that you chuck out there. But one last thing for us guys, I guess, is, I mean, we all know what the Sunday one's going to be. Johnny, you're allowed to enter the competition as well. I might be able to buy you a ticket for Cheltenham because you might need it. I'm joking. Who would be your best bet Saturday and your best bet Sunday?
I'll go Ballyburn Sunday, and I'll go Saturday. Just one quick peep here.
It's all right.
Saturday. I'll try Canal in maybe.
Nice, Jamie.
Pataroo on Saturday, Ballyburn on Sunday, and the bet of the whole weekend is in the first race on Saturday at Musselburgh. Your old favourite, Dave. He can't win. I think he's an absolute certainty, and it's Monmoral.
Monmoral 5-2 as well. He is. I think he's an all right price, isn't he? But who knows? He's one of the dogs, isn't he? But yeah, so for Dublin Main Festival, I would be exactly the same as Jamie. Like, I know it sounds potentially boring, but I do fancy half through on the Saturday. I still think there's some juice in that price. I do really like Will Do as well, though. So I will just say that I definitely think that's worth a reasonable size each way stake. I will do an all my bets video again tomorrow, so you guys know every bet that I've put on for the Saturday and the Sunday. You'll see my stakes and what I've put on with every single one of them. And then yeah, Sunday, Ballyburn. Ballyburn's a good thing. There's a few good races and other meetings, right? Sandown, Musselburgh as well. So again, I'll touch on those in my all my bets video. But the last thing that's left for me to do is a massive, massive thank you again to you, Johnny, mate. You've given us plenty of your time tonight. Really appreciate your wisdom and insight and all the stuff you do in the game as well, mate. Because there's lots of people that will, I don't want to say that they'll shirk responsibilities, but you are open and available to people to ask you questions, and your knowledge is well up there, your experience, all that sort of stuff. So it's massively appreciated that you do as much stuff as you do, and you're so open and honest about all of it as well. And the fact that you're funny, and the fact that you're a good judge as well, are just absolute cherries on top, aren't they? But I appreciate your time. Hope you go well for the weekend, and thank you too, Jamie, for your time as well, buddy.
All the best, boys. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks,
All the best. Bye-bye. Cheers, Jamie. See you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.